4 dwarves, 1 mission, 0 time to waste. This is Galactic, and today we're looking to the speedrun side of this amazing game. I must admit though, I only bought this game because my friends pressured me into it, but honestly, it's a pretty great time. With tight and responsive controls, you cannot go wrong with this game. And once you understand the ins and outs of the game, the speedruns are even more incredible to watch and learn. So get yourself comfortable, grab a drink, grab a snack, as we dive into the speedrunning side of Galactic. If you're not familiar with the game, don't worry, I got you. Galactic is a cooperative shooter in which you and your friends are dwarves, going in deep space to extract a bunch of minerals. While doing so, you also have to survive waves of aliens attacking you. At the end, if you make it back to the escape shuttle, of course, you gain all the minerals and all the gold that you've extracted, and with that you can buy upgrades and skins. Oh, and you also gain experience points to level up your class. There isn't really any story to follow, so you can pick and choose any available mission at the time, but the game does push you to do certain objectives that once completed gives you more rewards. Objectives can vary from extracting a certain type of minerals, grab a bunch of alien eggs, salvage equipment from a previous extraction, or go and sabotage a competitor. Besides that, the missions can be as difficult as you choose them to be, if you took a few factors of course. The first thing is the difficulty itself. There are 5 levels of difficulty, called as or as for short. You can play a mission and just chill, vibe, do your thing, all sweat like a motherfucker when we play on the highest difficulty, which is 5 by the way, 1 being the easiest. Each different level of difficulty will make the aliens do more damage to you, or they will have more health or more speed. The spawn rate also seems to be way more frequent. But as you do harder missions, you are rewarded with more bonus missions at the end, which is really nice for leveling up and just grinding your equipment. The other few factors to consider are the length of the mission and its cave complexity. Now the latter at times can feel like it's merely a suggestion, since every map is procedurally generated. If you're not sure what that means, think of Minecraft. Every time you start a new world, it's a different seed, and the world looks completely different. Well, it's the same with each Galactic mission. So as I was saying, every map is randomized, and for the same complexity rating, you will sometimes find caves that will be hard to navigate, while others will just be a big open area. For the lack of a better word, the length of the mission is simply a mere suggestion too. Depending on your playstyle, you can spend half an hour in a cave or only a few minutes. It really is up to you. And now you know what Galactic is about. It's a fun and fast-paced shooter that can be enjoyed in multiple ways. But like everything I will cover in this channel, I started to wonder what a speedrun of this game looked like. Now, before we move on to the core of this video, if you enjoy speedrun content, you should subscribe to this channel. I plan on covering a wide variety of games and talk about various topics on speedrunning. Oh wait, check out my Twitch channel. Thanks. There's one thing I know for sure. Speedrunners will speedrun anything, and Galactic is an exception. Even though there are no stories to go through, the community decided to make every single objective its own category. Therefore, the leaderboard shows individual levels before the full game categories. Because yes, they made some, but we'll go over those later. It's not often that you look at the leaderboard and see ILs at the forefront. It feels weird after years of staring at, well, the most common leaderboard layout. But it works for this game, and honestly I think I prefer that over millions of tabs cycled through just to find one category that you're interested in. Obviously I started to look at world record runs. Seeing how fast some of them are is insane. Most of my runs with my friends were very casuals, yes, but I could have not imagined some of these objectives to be completed as fast as some runners do them. But it's still incredible to not only see the skills it takes to move around the cave fast, but the quick decision making. However, I did notice a couple of things that were missing, that I thought for sure runners would abuse, but didn't. So I went to the rules to see what was up. The first thing I noticed is that every run is done on Hazard 2. Although it's an easy difficulty, it's not the easiest one you can play on. The rules do state that the speedrun must be done on AS2 or higher, so that is the answer, right? Well, definitely I got more curious and decided to ask the community why. Unexpectedly, I was told that the first few people who picked up the game decided that As2 was the lowest difficulty to do runs on. It was then suggested that on As1, aliens might not even spawn. Honestly, I don't think anyone remembered if that statement was true or not, so I went ahead and verified if the claim was true. But as you can see, it isn't true, but it might as well be, because they're not really doing much. Like, I have never felt more safe in this game, honestly, than playing on As1. And I think this is probably why it's not allowed for speedrun. There's like no challenge. And I feel like the first few runners might have needed a slide challenge. Like obviously Hazard 2 is not extremely difficult, but there's also categories for Hazard 5, which is really nice. The second observation I made was that there were missing categories. For example, the egg objectives. On the leaderboard we have 4 and 8 eggs, but in the game there's also 6 eggs. Again, I asked the community why it was the case. I got a better explanation this time. The community concluded that some objectives were too much of the same and didn't bring anything new to the runs. It would be too redundant to have all of them on the leaderboard, and honestly I kinda agree with that sentiment. Now you would think after all of this we're good to learn about the run, but there's still a little bit more that we need to talk about. To vary the gameplay even further, Deep Rock Galactic has 4 different classes that you can choose to play before going on a mission. Each has a very different type of gameplay, but the best for the speedrun is a Scout class. It has unmatched movement options, and paired with the right perks, it is unstoppable. And for the weapons, it seems like the primary one is up to your liking, but the secondary weapon, you want to grab the boomstick with a special powder overclock. This upgrade enhances the already amazing movement of the Scout, helping him get across big gaps or get higher. And now that is all you need to know. Wait, hold on. Wow, I'm still looking at the rules. Beer is banned? Okay, I was gonna cut it there, but beer is technically banned because it gives you random buffs, and the beer of the before the mission that you can pick that gives you the buffs is at random. You cannot select a specific beer. And so because of that, it's basically banned. Otherwise you would need to roll not only like a good cave with, you know, a good biome for the objective, but also like a good beer just to grind a world record. I don't know. I think the community made a good decision, and it does specify in the rules too, until we cannot, we can pick and choose the beers, this is banned. So good call. So what does it look like? What makes it fun? Well, I'm gonna cover a handful of categories here. I'm gonna talk about the ones I really like running, like 4 egg hunt and the on-site refining, also known as liquid morkai. But I'm also gonna talk about the new mission from Season 6. And yes, Season 6 was rolling out when I started working on this video, so that's why it took so long to drop it. Alright, so the first category I fell in love with was a 4 egg hunt. The goal is to obviously collect 4 alien eggs and finish the run alive. And each egg is hidden in those big sacks. They are easy to dig through in general, but some terrains makes it difficult to get to them. However, there's a trick here to speed up the process. Like many games, Deep Rock speedruns benefit from an animation cancel. When you use a pickaxe, the moment you can confirm that you've dug, that you make contact with a surface, you can press Q. It's gonna bring back the last item you've used. Then right click again to pickaxe and you should have the animation cancel. Here's a side-by-side comparison. Now, I'm not the best at it. The timing can get a bit tricky when you're in a rush, but this technique can save you a few seconds throughout every run. Now, if you're lucky, all 4 eggs will be in the same room and exposed. So you won't have to use the animation cancel as much, but the spawn can be quite awful at times. And if you're like me and want to finish runs most of the time, it'll definitely come handy. But hey, if you get lucky, you can then send Bosco to fetch a few eggs that are harder to get. I haven't talked about the robot companion before, but it's an android that helps you with aliens and excavating in general. This little guy is only available if you play alone, and honestly this is basically all my speedrunning experience with the game right now. Maybe someday I'll find a group, but who knows. Right now this little guy is my best friend. The general strategy of the category, if you can do it of course, is to gather all the eggs in the same spot, so you can drop all of them into the mule as fast as possible, which by the way it is something you can control, so keeping it in one spot isn't a big challenge, but they will try to follow you if you go too far. So it's really important to keep track as she can lose you a lot of time. With enough luck and good execution, run of this category can be done well under the 2-minute mark. Sure, we can dig faster and we have a robot that can do half of the job for us. But once the eggs are collected, we have to wait for the drop pod and then the mule to get to it, get beamed up, and then the doors open. Well, would you believe me if I told you that there's a way to bypass all of that? Well, not exactly all of it. You still have to wait for the drop pod, but let me tell you. After you find the drop pod, you want to go to the side that Molly is getting stored on. It should be on the right side when facing the pod, so don't look too hard for it. Alright, once you get there, you want to get into that corner. If you're playing as a scout, you can use the grapple or the shotgun to get up there. Now this is the part I'm not exactly sure what the lineup is, but once you're in that corner, there's an angle when you jump, your dwarf will start a climbing animation and clip through the shuttle. And honestly, I just eyeball it every time, so it's been working for me. But once I'm there, and do your best to navigate through all the invisible collisions and hit the trigger to finish the mission. There's an alternate way to get inside if you happen to find the drop pod before it will land. Like it will be marked in a green, like, I don't know, this green thing, okay? But yeah, you can grapple yourself to a wall and wait for it, and once it sits on your head, you can start jumping and make your way inside. Though it is not as safe because sometimes I would clip out of bound or in a tunnel below. This is still a pretty cool trick and a nice time saver right at the end of the run. The next category I want to talk about is on-site refining. Casually, it's always been a favorite of mine, and this speedrun is just as fun for me. The goal of this one is to find liquid morkite pits and request refineries on them. There are 3 in each mission. But that's not it. You have to connect each refinery to the main station using pipes, which you have to build on your own. Each pipe will be segmented as they can only go so far. I think about 9 meters, but I could be wrong on that. They have a few more restrictions, like the angle cannot be too steep. It obviously cannot go through walls or any solid objects. And I don't know why I wrote that again in my script, but it cannot be too long, like I said. Okay, buddy. Alright, once connected to the main station, you can then build them, and you can use Bosco to streamline the process, as telling him to build one segment will make him build the entire pipeline. And when that is all done, you want to press that red button, and now that's a waiting game. Because you see, it wouldn't be much fun if it was all that you have to do. Now, all the noise coming from the extraction of the morkite will attract a lot of aliens that you have to survive. But also from time to time, some of the pipes will break, and you and Bosco will have to fix them as fast as possible. And I learned the hard way, when you tell Bosco to fix one segment of the pipe, it won't try to go fix the other one if it's broken on the same pipe. So yeah, this is definitely something that really annoyed me at first, but I really got used to it, and honestly, it's a lot better now. By the way, while you're repairing all of that, while you're fixing the pipes, aliens won't give you much of a break during that time either. Honestly, that category is all about being smart with your pipe building, knowing which aliens are in the way that you have to kill, and just have crazy movement to get around the map to not only survive the bugs, but just also find the pits initially and just build, just building the pipe as fast as possible, really. One thing that is nice, if you were a little bit afraid of the clip from the first category, is for this one, once it's done, when the drop pod falls, the gates will open automatically, so you can just enter it, don't have to clip, don't have to do anything, and you just leave the mission. Now, before I start talking about the last category, I feel like I must talk about weapon upgrades and perks. Yes, we got more info dump coming. Well, see, when I first started doing runs of the game, I didn't pay too much attention to these things. And I didn't write the script within a day, so you know. Anyway, now we're here and I gotta talk about it. Perks are pretty straightforward. You can have 5 different ones and they're all beneficial. You get to have 3 passive perks that will always be active and two active perks that you'll decide when to use before it goes on cooldown. Although a lot of them are designed with multiplayer in mind, lots of them are pretty useful for speedruns. One of my favorites is a Berserker. Without a perk, you can only use power attacks every 30 seconds. But with the perk, you can spam it for a little bit before it goes on cooldown. It is a great tool to use when you do a lot of digging as it makes bigger holes, but it can also be very useful to clear a bunch of aliens when you're surrounded. Another one that I like, a good example of a passive perks for the runs are the Veteran Depositor. All it does is that you deposit your mineral faster, but it is very practical in categories like 200 more kites. So now what about weapon upgrades? Well, for the most part, the shotgun will still use a special powder overclock, but in a category like, I don't know, kill 2 dreadnoughts, they are very hard enemies to kill, casually at least. It is preferred to swap your overclock to something that will deal more damage, but in the process you'll sacrifice a cool and fun movement option. But that is not all you can do. Each weapon in the game, yes, each, can have 5 different upgrades active. You can have more ammo, quicker reloads, penetrate enemy shields easier, or even scare them out when you shoot. It seems all trivial at first, but trust me, your build could be what decides if you live or not. Oh, by the way, the suit of armor can also be upgraded for more health, and Bosco too can be upgraded, so... Yeah, the little guy also gets upgrades. A useful one is the mining expert, because as the name suggests, it will have increased speeds when mining. I think everything else is up to your preference. I could be wrong, but a lot of stuff feels niche. I think that is it now. We can move on to the new season and category that came with it, Heavy Extraction. The goal of this category is to find 3 big masses of prisonite and send them back to space. In order to do that, you have to explore most of the cave. When you find one, you first have to dig around, then the operator will call 4 lift rocket, and it's your job to install them. Bosco can help building there, but otherwise it's all on you. While waiting for the lift to drop, I like to find where my next path would be and have Bosco dig my way out. Then I would install a lift or 2 and call Bosco again to help me build, depending how far the pod was from the mast. I would help build 1 or 2, then go back to the pod, and once all 4 of the lifts are ready to go, I'll press a button and it'll be launched to space. Do that 2 more times, make sure to abuse the Berserker perk to dig around the masses. Bosco can help dig around the mast, by the way. It definitely speeds up the process by quite a bit. But yeah, do that 2 more times like I said, find 2 more masses of resonite, and then just call the shuttle to get back home. Here, I'm not sure if there's a way to predict where the drop pod will drop, but it was a lot easier for me to just wait and see where it would go. At the end, just climb inside as the mule will take forever to get there, and GG. I genuinely like running this category as it would practice not only my movement as a scout, but also like fast digging skill and decision making. And I just felt like there was a little bit of like everything in this one. Now, before I end this video, if you're still watching, type in the comment section below a game that you'd want me to cover in the future, and I'll keep a list and potentially make a video on it. Now, at the beginning, I promised I would talk about the full game leaderboard. By the time I am making this video, I have not done any runs of the categories yet. I'm sure I will in the future for fun, but a lot of my time has been spent on grinding ILs and Iron Warrior Age of Imprisonment for the Nintendo Switch 2. I still want to go over 2 of them real quick. The first one being all classes. All classes require the runner to play all 4 classes in 4 different missions. The missions have to be Man Expedition 200 more kite, Egg Hunt 4 eggs, Point Extraction 7 quarks, and Elimination 2 dreadnoughts. You can mix and match the missions and classes however you want, and the order does not matter. This seems like a fun challenge considering you get to play every other classes than just the scout. But like everything else in this game, 1 bad cave generation and your run might just die right there. I could see myself doing a few attempts in the future, but I'm not sure if I would actually enjoy just getting screwed over by RNG. Like, anyway, you know what I mean. Alright, the other category is all missions. The name of this one is a little bit misleading as you only have to do 5 different missions. Mining, Egg Hunt, Heavy Extraction, Point Extraction, and Elimination have to be done. Auto-scroller-ish type missions don't need to be done. I personally still think it could have been fun to have all of them, but I can see why people wouldn't want to grind those in longer runs. Because Season 6 recently rolled out, the leaderboard might seem a little bit empty, admittedly, it's very much empty. But if you look at the Season 5 leaderboard, there was quite a bit of activity there. However, one thing that struck me as odd is how you had to do salvage mission instead of heavy extraction before. But now the salvage mission is considered a little bit auto-scroller-ish, so I don't know, for me it's a little bit weird that it got removed, but I'm not gonna complain about it too much because at the end of the day it's not something that will affect, my experience as a speedrunner here. I'm pretty sure all the missions picked are really fun, and I will trust the community to know what they're doing there. And here we are at the end of the video. I honestly didn't think I would ever finish writing the script and find time to do runs. I have a passion for speedrunning. I love learning about new games, all the new strats, all the glitches, but my lack of motivation makes it slow to work on video. If I had any final thoughts on Deep Rock Galactic speedrunning scene, it would be that I'm surprised that the speedruns are not more popular, considering how big the game seems to be in the gaming sphere. But this is a trend I see often. The popularity of a game or franchise doesn't always translate to the speedrunning scene very well. Overall, I think it's a fun game to run. Focusing on one IL at a time is a good way to spend some nights. There are a bit of grind to do before I'd say that your profile is speedrun ready, but you can always give it a shot without all the fancy stuff. Anyway, I think it's time for me to wrap this up and start working on my next video. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to leave a like or a dislike, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to the channel while you're there. Take care everyone, and good luck on your runs. Peace.